it's a positive film. It has heroes and villains, and that it essentially is a fun movie to watch. It's been a long time since people have been able to go to the movies and see a sort of straightforward, wholesome, fun adventure.
Well, it's a fantasy. It's not science fiction so much as it is space fantasy. And it's about people. It's finally about people and not finally about science.
The story, when you actually put it into words, is only so much nonsense to hang a great visual experience onto. It's the stuff that fairy tales are made of.
Sort of boiling down religion into a very basic concept. The fact that there is some deity or some power or some force that sort of controls our destiny works for good and also works for evil.
Marvelous, healthy innocence. Great pace, wonderful to look at, full of guts, nothing unpleasant. I mean, people go bang bang and people fall over and are dead, but no horrors. A sort of wonderful freshness about it, kind of like a wonderful fresh air.
It's got whatever you want it to be. It's pure entertainment. It's like a roller coaster ride, and it can be interpreted as long as you enjoy it, which is the intention.
Hello and welcome back to a very special episode of Generation Skywalker. As you can see, our pretty faces are on the camera. I'm here with Mark Daniels. Hello, Mark.
Hello.
I'm a little hoarse and I'm a little bit sweaty, given what we're going to be talking about today.
It doesn't smell so bad, though.
You don't get that on the camera. But it's, I've been collecting a long time. I've been a Star Wars fan all my life. And the things we've got to show you today they're just up there. They're very special, particularly to me and Mark. Hope you agree. I'm sure some of you will. But we're going to talk to you about a recent find that cropped up for an auction. Do you want to give a little taster of what we're going to talk about?
Yeah, sure. So saleroom.com, which if you're familiar with the website, basically covers many of the smaller auction houses or provincial auction houses and lists their upcoming auction lots. So I tap in Star Wars as I do every now and again. I don't check it regularly. It just happened to be one of these times that I tapped in Star Wars and scrolling through, and I came across this lot, Letraset, original artwork. Can't remember exactly what the words were, but original artwork, really. Went into it, looked at it, and it took me seconds really to log what I was actually looking at. I couldn't believe it. Read about it. There was only limited number of pictures on there, so I thought, is this really what I think it is? So straight away I sent Craig a link to the auction, and within nanoseconds my phone went, and it was oh my god, this is real.
It was words to that effect. I think
Yeah.
they were both. The exchange on the message was two very brief expletives and the link. But yeah, I was trying to find. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. We're obviously talking about Letraset today. There's a whole other show in talking about transfers, but we're concentrating on the stationery. And it's something that we've both, over the years, have had a special connection with. I know you have.
Absolutely, yeah. As a child, remember very distinctly being bought the R2D2 space writing set, which included a pack of envelopes. I can't remember if it was R2D2's memory bank or C-3PO's space notes. There was like an exercise book in there,
writing
wasn't there?
pad.
And there was the Stormtrooper manual as well.
Yeah.
And I remember vividly having 2 or 3 bought of these over sort of several months, because at the time, as a budding artist, anything to do with pens or paper or stationery, I was transfixed. So obviously combine Star Wars with that, then I'm ticking all the boxes. But I have very vivid memories of putting together very brief sentences in the exercise book and writing letters and posting them to my mum and my grandparents and things. So for me, the Letraset stationery in particular, as well as the transfers, has a very sort of special place in my collecting journey, shall we say.
Yeah, and I'm the same. I remember Friday nights were the big shop, and we'd go to the Asda in Scunthorpe, and it was like one of the first big out of town shopping supermarkets.
Yeah.
And I remember being with him, pushing the trolley, turning down an aisle, and seeing this stuff on the shelves. And in my dull 1970s world, the vibrancy of it, there wasn't. I mean, we're talking 78, so we would have had figures and card backs and posters and magazines and all the rest of it. But the way this stuff popped, and whether it's the colour, the yellow, the blue, the exquisite artwork. I remember like, oh, Dad, can I? And I got the Jotter. And I got Princess Leia. And he let me put it in the basket.
And it was accessible because of the price point.
Yeah,
more accessible than the figures.
Yeah,
because these would have been pennies.
And educational.
Yeah,
it was kind of useful for school and all the rest of it. So, and I think I do remember having the exercise books. Sure, I had a scrapbook. None of it has survived. No. But when I got back into collecting, that stuff just, there's a holy trinity for me. There's Helix, there's Letraset, and there's the Clearo stuff.
Yeah, pretty much the same.
And it's just that, the quality of that work, the nostalgia that's imbued in it is just...
And also, incredible. I think for me, what stands out, specifically with Letraset and Helix, is, from an artistic point of view, is you could tell there was no marketing manual that these companies were going off. It was very much... just go off and do what you want to do, and if we approve it, then go for it. So Letraset, using a yellow Star Wars logo on that blue background, like you say, the artwork really pops. And then Helix, using the Star Wars logo with red and yellow on a black background, it's just madness. But it works, and it makes those products look completely unique and different from every other. Whenever you go to a collector's event or you see it online or whatever, it always stands out. And I think that, I know for you as well, you have that connection as an artist, as somebody that appreciates the design aesthetic about it. So, ticks all the boxes.
Well, I think it inspired you. If we swap places 1 second, I think it's in here. Talk to me about this.
Yes. I completely forgotten about this. I completely forgotten about it.
So this is Mark's What If Land.
There you go. And that sits at the front. And you've got like a little strut, cardboard strut on the back. And that sits there, sits proud. For me, it was an exercise in exactly what you've just said. Is what if there was so little point of sale material out there for Helix and Letraset and Clearo. Is it Clearo or Clearo?
I think it's because it's a portmanteau, isn't it, of Clive and Rob or something. I think it's Clearo.
I flip between the two, whichever
Leia.
fancy. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I just thought, what would possibly have been around in that era of time that would look and sit well with a Letraset collection, and as an artist and as a designer, I went to work and came up with that, and I think they'd look.
And who would have thought that we'll be talking about what we're going to talk about today?
Well, it's still out there.
It's still out there, and there's still more to come. I think. Yeah, awesome. It's the stuff that you dream will turn up one day, and there it was, for sale.
For sale, and with an initial guide price of £300 to £500, which we both knew was what they term a come and buy me estimate. And over the next several minutes, we said, right, okay, how are we going to do this? This is going to go for a huge amount of money. And we both agreed that we were going to go all in, whatever it cost to get hold of them. We were going to try our absolute damnedest to get them. And we both had a rough estimate of how much that was going to be. And I was looking at my collection, thinking about what bits I could sell to make up for it, because obviously I didn't want to sort of bite into any savings. But the short and tall of it was, I had things that I could sell that quite easily that would go towards paying for it. And Craig was exactly the same. We both sat down, we agreed what we were going to do. I registered my bid as a phone bidder because I couldn't quite make the auction. It was down in London with an auction house called Dawson's. It was a fine art auction, so it wasn't a specialist auction. It was mixed in with antique furniture, oil paintings, rugs. There was a Chinese waistcoat that went for 40,000.
We thought this would be the star of the show, but it wasn't. It was a Chinese waistcoat. It was
a Chinese waistcoat that went for over £14,000. And I thought, oh my God, this is just going to go crazy now. And I was sweating my adrenaline. If you've ever bid on auction, and when it's something that you really, really want, the adrenaline starts pumping and you start getting very dry mouth, and you're getting really excited. Anyway, the auction, I was watching it online, and our number was coming up, and within two or three auction lots before the phone went, it was the chap at the other end of the auction house, and it began.
Lot 392, collection of 5 items, original 1977 Star Wars artwork. The story behind these, where they came from, again, not too far from us here. The original 1977 artwork, and Easy Live is away at £500. I've got to go £550 on the book. 600 if you'd like. I've got 600 now on Easy Life. The book is out. I've got 650 now, fresh place on Dawson's Live, and 700 on Easy Live. 750 if you like. 750, 800. Suddenly turned into an auction. £800 on Easy Live.
It went up quite rapidly at first, didn't it?
I think there was either somebody online or somebody in the room kind of knew what it was, and it was bang, 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 bang. And
it was going up then in £100 increments. And we eventually got to, and I just kept telling the guy on the phone, so just keep going, just keep going, keep going, keep going. And it got to £2,900. And for whatever reason, and I thought this was going to go for a lot more, the other bidder stopped.
29, thank you. 2,900 on the telephone. We top it up at 2,900. I'll take 3,000 from you on Easy Live. It's against you. You're not going to see them again soon. At 2,900. Are we all done? I'm selling to our telephone bidder then at 2,900.
I couldn't believe it hammered at £2,900. Bear in mind what we were going to get. I was literally jumping up and down. I was so excited that we got this lot for the price that we got it for.
There was an inkling that, a little hope that it had gone under the radar. And I think we were, because it was Maidenhead, wasn't it? It was a slightly provincial auction house. Clearly it was outside their area of specialism. They had some lots in there of Marvel, like
Marvel comics, but they were astronomically high estimates.
Yeah, so
just way beyond what they were actually worth.
And so you could tell they were dabbling with like the up and coming collectibles in their eyes, I think, because they seemed very traditional. But the other thing that really worked for us was it was the same day as the Vectis auction.
Same day as the Vectis auction. So it felt like all eyes were on that. This was the only lot that came up in the search on their auction house. And also, they didn't actually photograph on the auction the original artwork.
No.
It was the overlays, wasn't it?
Yeah, so we'll get into it, but it's old school physical camera ready artwork for printers. So with that you get a number of overlays with instructions and all the rest of it on. and they'd photographed it without lifting these overlays. So we were looking through this tracing paper on these photographs, going, it's not a print. You can't see, because it could have been. They could have taken a copy of it and pasted it on and used that as the artwork. But I think it was our instincts more than anything that said, this is legit. This is the real deal.
Luckily, Craig and I both have artwork and design backgrounds, because that's the trade that we're in. We both started way before computers were part and parcel of any studio. Yeah. We were still using pens and rulers and knives to put together artwork and brochures and things. So we had a very good understanding of what this actually was, and that experience has paid off.
Yeah. Well, shall we not keep people in suspense anymore and have a look at some of the pieces?
Absolutely, yeah. So we'll start with the smallest one of the lot. So it's, let me see that there.
It's like QVC.
Yeah, it is. This is not for sale, by the way. And then we lift over, and it, on this paste-up label, we've got the Star Wars Stationery date, which is the 13th of November 1977. Chewbacca Space Notes, SS, which means same size. So the artwork was done to exactly the same size as the printed article, which is actually quite unusual, because normally you would scale it up and then scale it down when it came to actual print.
Yeah, because that would mean you'd get a crisper image.
Exactly. So what we've got here is like a layer of tracing paper with the artwork, the logo, cut so that it doesn't interfere with Chewbacca's head, the details, the codes, what the title of the product is, all stuck on with pencil, old school pencil marks. I'm telling you what colour, white out, that says WO, which means white out, which means the type is going to be white out, and just little printer's notes all over it. And then underneath, on board, straight onto board, is the airbrushed background, and then we've got the hand painted, looks to be in watercolour or gouache, character of Chewbacca, the original artwork.
Just amazing, just amazing for so many reasons. I mean, we've talked about our connection with this stuff as a Star Wars fan and as kids interacting and using this stuff back in the day. But for me, I mean, I started my career. So these little bits here are bromides from the PMT machine, which meant photomechanical transfer. Yeah. My first job was being in the darkroom on this massive piece of kit that did one job. Yeah. I mean, design studios back in those days, they just had huge things so around the room that did one job. I mean, that's all gone. But for a little graduate or I was on work experience, they trust you to go and size up the logo and bring it out and let the grown-ups stick it on the stick it on the overlay. So this is, it's nostalgic for two reasons, I think, and I know Mark feels the same. And I love this. I love this Chewbacca. So if you grab that, this is the finished piece.
The finished one.
I've been collecting these a while. I've got a nice mint set, which we've just seen. But some of these, they crop up with little kids' notes in. So this has got some lovely...
That's outstanding.
...kind of character.
That is brilliant. Lovely handwriting as well.
Very nice handwriting. So it's nice from a social history as well, this stuff. So I love having a nice mint set, don't get me wrong. This is a game changer, but I still like picking up these little pieces that they've got a bit of a story to them. And I've got another Chewbacca Space Notes here, which came from Todd Chamberlain in the States, and this is one of Gary Kurtz's product samples that came out of his estate. So we've got kid from Stoke or wherever, and his notes about Star Wars, and we've got Gary Kurtz's little sample.
Now we've got the original.
Now we've got this.
And the great thing about this, the Letraset stationery, Helix stationery, is back in the day, it was way more accessible to children because of the price point and because it was paper goods. The manufacturers were able to get it to market so much quicker, which is why you see so many jigsaws and board games and stationery sets and all these kinds of things. because there's all the tooling's ready to go. It's very easy to manufacture. You can produce it in huge numbers and sell it for pennies, which, you know, action figures back then started out at what were they, 99p, and then went up to about £1.20, something like that. So back then that was an awful lot of money. That was like 3 or 4 weeks pocket money for some people, probably even more than that, you know, a birthday or a Christmas treat. Whereas this stuff, you go into a newsagent's and pick it up for 15, 20 pence.
And at the time, you know, Letraset were flying. They you know, they started in I think it was the 50s, the 60s. They made their name with the dry transfer sets, which we used professionally by architects and designers. They saw the potential to take to kids, and that boomed. And the year before this station came out, 77, they were really quick off the mark, and they got those sets out, the 3 panorama sets, and it was a massive hit.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, there probably wasn't that much Star Wars to buy in 77.
No.
You know, a few factors badges maybe. So this came on the back of that success, and you know, it must have been a sure bet for them.
Oh, they must have made so much money out of that license, and I bet it cost them absolutely nothing, because Star Wars, you knew about Star Wars back then.
Yeah. So yeah, this was a boom time.
Now here's a question: why is there never any Empire Strikes Back Letraset?
Well,
they did Jedi, didn't they? There was like a Letraset Jedi.
So all the Letraset Empire stuff was through promotions. So it was the Dairy, which was on pack, and then you could send off for the bumper set. And there was some magazine like Tip-Ons, Marvel, but they never did a sell-through set. And by the time Jedi came, they bought Thomas Salter.
Yeah,
so that was released as Thomas Salter. They also owned Presto Magics. They did a deal with Gillette and Papermate pens.
Right.
So they were really kind of quite entrepreneurial, and they were just going for this stuff. I mean, it didn't sustain for them, you know, the bubble burst on that analog world. But I think at this time, yeah, they were flying. They've got a long history of like doing licenses with Disney, DC, Marvel, all the kind of stuff that's still around.
They were very much at the zenith at this particular
the
70s going into the early 80s. So, second lot, second piece, should I say. And bear in mind, this is all in one lot.
Yeah.
This wasn't separated out. So, here we have Princess Leia's Rebel Jotter.
Just makes me weak at the knees. I know some people get excited about proof cards, and you know,
but
the airbrushed Anakin card.
I cannot state how rare it is to find original artwork from products from the 70s. It's unheard of. All of this stuff was thought to have been lost, probably skipped way back when. The fact is, this is sat in, somebody saved it from the printers. I think he worked there or was part of the company, or his family owned the printers that did the job. It's been in a folder in a loft for over 40 years and hasn't seen the light of day since then. And I think they were doing a house clearance and they came across it and decided to put it in auction to see, obviously, where it went. And I think if the auction house had been a bit more switched on, they might have separated out the lots. But as it was, it's all gone in our favour. And as you can see, I mean, what a stunning piece of artwork! It's just great. Whoever painted them was an absolute master. I can't explain to you enough how good these are in person. The craftsmanship on them, the draftsmanship is just second to none. The colours are incredible. The likeness that this artist has managed to capture is just amazing. It's beautiful stuff. And another thing that's also worth pointing out is blues are notoriously hard to get out of full colour process. Yeah. So they go quite dull, they go quite purpley. So even on the photographs on the website, to see that original stuff compared to,
what we got, which is great, but the vibrancy of it is just, it's something else.
It really is. And then this one, which I believe, right now this one's a bit special because on the back, and we've gone over these with fine-tooth combs, and this is the only other detail that we could find. This is an interesting bit of detail we've got here. As approved by Mr. S. What was it? Bildecki?
Bidecki, is it?
Bidecki.
You've got it in front of you.
I can't read it. My eyes have gone. For and on behalf of 20th Century Fox, the 14th of the 12th, 1977. And artwork approval and artwork prepared by, I can't make out this signature, but I presume this is the original artist. And it says, with corrections, 14th of December. And they've both got... both been signed off on the 14th of December. So this will have been the final approved version of this particular piece of artwork, and that's dried up and come off over time. But it's the writing pad for intergalactic messages, and just to see all these notes around the edge of the artwork, it's just incredible. And then what I find amazing about this particular piece is how the artist has managed to translate the idea of a hologram where Leia is by scratching the artwork through. So it's staggered. I mean, for the time, bear in mind this is the 1970s, where the digitisation of stuff was still very much in its infancy. To translate that message across, that design across is incredible. And I've got to say, C-3PO is notoriously hard to draw as an artist. To get the likeness of 3PO is just so difficult. This artist makes it look easy. It's incredible.
And out of all of the pieces we've got, this is one that hasn't come from a publicity shot. It's not come from a still. So I've kind of gone back and I've sourced all the originals, and it's not hard. You can tell where they've come from, but and there'll be a blog to accompany this episode, so you can pour over it in a bit more detail. But that's an imagined scene, so it's not a trace off of an image.
Right.
So it's come from the movie. Which the actual scene in the movie is a close crop. 3PO is kind of looking over R2, and the lights on. You can see the hologram lights on, but there's no long shot of that image.
That just goes to prove how good this artist clearly was.
So this is the writing pad, and it differs a little bit from some of the other pieces because it's got an image inside. So this was what you would have written your thank you note, dear Auntie.
Yeah.
Dear Auntie, thank you for my writing pad for intergalactic messages, and you'd do that, and then you'd put it in the matching envelopes, and that would be how you would communicate with people back before text messages. Question: I think these were sold individually as well as in the.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
I'm almost certain they were.
Yeah, so these are what came in the R2D2 set with the envelopes. And there's some interesting stuff that it throws up with timing. I've got the trade catalogue for 1978, and not all of these pieces are in it. So I think it was probably done in two waves. Looks like they failed to get it out for Christmas, so they're sending it to artwork on the November, running up to, I think some of these are like 14th of December, aren't they?
Yeah.
So they were like last job on the press before everybody packed up for the holidays.
Absolutely.
But interestingly, there was a couple of products that were promoted on the back of the envelopes. There's a dictate notebook, and we've got Princess Leia's notelets as well as the jotter. So I've got examples of ads. Letraset went to sell this in Harrogate Toy Fair and the Birmingham Toy Fair, and talk a bit more about that in a minute. But there's an ad pre-Toy Fair that features like a mock-up of a Darth Vader pad. I've got it's a very low resolution image I've got, but you can see that the plans changed and they pulled a couple of products. But seeing this stuff, it just starts to fill in the jigsaw, doesn't it? You see some of the dates and stuff came out.
To have the dates on this stuff is just incredible. It kind of, you're able to piece together when things eventually did actually get to market. And also, very unusual that Vader never really featured anywhere other than on the scrapbook and on the back of the R2-D2 writing set. You would have thought he would have had a Darth Vader's intergalactic memories or intergalactic memory book or whatever, I don't know. But going on to another one that we've got is R2-D2's memory bank, which had the times table on the back.
Yeah, I mean, they were very good at sort of the words they used, the language they used, intergalactic space things and memory banks. It's just sort of like elevating this dull exercise book into something a bit more exciting.
And, I can't begin to describe how awesome these things are in person. The craftsmanship, the penmanship, everything about them is just... This was all done by hand. This hasn't been stuck on. This is actually all one thing. Apart from this bit's been stuck on, obviously, because it's typeset. But the arting and the background are all one thing. I mean, this artist is incredibly confident, seriously accomplished, and it's just an absolute joy to be able to sit here and hold these things and see them in person and actually appreciate them for the works of art that they are, commercial art at its absolute finest, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it's a lost skill.
It really is.
It's up there.
It really is.
It's up there with the looking covers, the poster art of the time. Nowadays it'd be like file 002 JPEG.
Yeah.
Clip it out, stick it on the blue background that you've also been supplied with.
That's it. It's a dead art.
There's also an interesting little aside to this piece, is that because Star Wars was. It was a bit of like a land grab, a gold rush to get really bootleg stuff out. And you see it with the Carnival mirrors where they took out Marvel art and
the Force Beam.
The Force Beam. And these are great big images for people to reproduce. So we got this curious set of pin badges from the time that have to be bootlegs, but are clearly taken from this artwork. So they're curious little things. There's the R2 one, there's the 3PO one, and there's the two of them comped together rather clumsily. But I just think things like that just add to this story. They're just nice things to complement the collection.
Now, we don't have the full set of Letraset artwork, which I would include the R2-D2 writing set, box art. That was clearly done by hand. Yeah. That is missing from the lot. The Stormtrooper notepad, the small one that came in that exact writing set, that is also missing. So we don't have that. And we don't have C-3PO's, is it writing set?
This is the writing set.
Yeah, the writing set. So
the exercise book.
The exercise book. Was that in the R2-D2 writing set? Or
I think it was this and the writing.
Right. Okay. So those three pieces.
To be fair, they could have just mixed it up.
They could have done. But they are missing, as well as the pen and ink or the black line art for the envelopes and the inside of the memory bank.
Writing set.
We
know our stuff.
Yeah. So that's missing. But now, as far as I'm concerned, and I'm sure you'll agree on this as well, Craig, this is the daddy of all the artwork. This is the absolute piece de resistance, as they say. So it's a bit tatty, you can see. It's been through the wars a bit, but it's done its job. It's protected the original artwork underneath. I mean, it's what, A2, would you say that is?
Yeah. nice bit of CS2 board.
Yeah.
Do you remember CS2 board?
I do remember CS2.
That was the most expensive
It was an
board
absolute
in the studio.
nightmare to cut with a scalpel as well, and you took your hands off with it. And there we have, you see that, the overlay for the Star Wars scrapbook. And when I say this piece of art is by far and away the most breathtaking of all the pieces, and don't get me wrong, they're all beautiful pieces, this is the absolute pinnacle of what I would describe as the whole lot. And there we can see, back in the day when photo montages, before Photoshop, when piecing together things like this was really, really difficult to do. And whoever has painted this is just done it, made it look so easily. It's beautiful, airbrushed backgrounds, perfectly masked off. It's painted, I mean, there's no patches where they've had to correct it or anything. It's all done in one go. And I can't tell you how good you have to be as an artist, a freehand artist, to be able to pull that off. And also to get the likeness of each one of those characters. I'd love to find out who they were. We can't find any legible name. That's the only thing that really lets us down, is that there's no signature, there's no name that accompanies this artwork. We'd love to get to the bottom of it. If anybody out there knows and can give us some evidence to who this might be, then please let us know. We'd absolutely love to be able to credit them with what I would describe as probably some of the best art from the era, out of everything.
Absolutely.
Out of everything. And this is stunning.
I mean, some of the detail, we were looking at this earlier, and the way that they've put a little like key line around to separate the characters. It's subtle, but the sense of 3D on the stormtroopers, and you can see the brushstrokes on this stuff as well when you get very close to it, and it's just
And this one's got a little Death Star in the background.
That's what I mean.
It's just in the not done harshly with loads of detail. It's just subtly done.
Out of all of them, it's got a very subtle back, because a lot of them had like they say the times tables and things on the back. But scrapbooks were a real thing. They were how we kept our Star Wars ephemera together. You know, the lolly wrappers, the Tops packets, all the stuff that things that had Star Wars on it were not disposable. We wanted to keep them.
Any little tiny thing you saw, you collected in a scrapbook.
Well, I've got a weakness for these. So there's something I started picking up, obviously I wanted my nice mint one. But then they started to crop up with stuff in them. So it has become a little sort of side passion of mine to have these scrapbooks. And I'm not going to go through them all now, but you can see what I mean with some of this stuff. It's picking up on the camera, but cutouts from Marvel, bits of packaging. Oh, look, Mark.
Oh yeah.
Placeholder for you.
No. What was it on page 1? On the first page.
There's your envelopes. Your Billy Band. Well,
that's different from the other one, isn't it? The other envelope. Oh no, it is. Sorry.
Yeah.
Ignore me.
Yeah. But yeah, that's a nice piece, isn't it?
Yeah. That exists obviously somewhere.
Yeah. But yes, scrapbooks and scrapbooking, I think these tell a great social history as to kids' lives. I mean, I've got one in here, and I bought it from eBay a while ago. I did an unboxing of it from a young girl called Leslie who put it together kind of for her mum's birthday. She said her mum was like, "Yes, dear, that's very nice." Oh. But it's now here in this collection of Letraset scrapbooks, which are running into double figures, I think.
And that artwork also appears on
Something
the
else.
rarest,
most expensive.
the most expensive notepad you've ever seen.
Which is this.
These were given out at the Harrogate trade show.
They were.
Were they given out at the NEC as well, or was it just that one event?
They say, I think I'm referring to Harrogate.
Yeah,
and
NEC and at the NEC. They came in a plastic bag, didn't they?
There was a carrier bag, a white carrier bag,
Yeah.
branded. But that was the cover. So they reused the scrapbook artwork, and then on the back, you've got the range. But the range at the time pretty much tallies. Well, it doesn't quite tally with what we've got, but there's the Rebel Jotter, C-3PO's exercise book,
Missing.
scrapbook, R2-D2, Chewbacca, and the Stormtrooper. So my thinking is that the writing set came a bit later. So we've got a mishmash of kind of what went on here. It's not all this, not all this first range. But yeah, this is a nice piece. Cost me a lot of money from the box store.
Yeah, it did.
You got one, haven't you?
I've got one.
Yeah, I don't think you paid what I paid.
I didn't pay anything for mine in the end.
So I've looked into some of the names and what it's told us about who's touched this.
Yep.
So obviously we've got Letraset, who are based in Kent. They were commissioning this work. We've got a designer whose name is David Clark Design Group, now based in Poole, I think, Dorset. Looked him up. Still seems to be trading, but design agencies don't live a long time.
No, they don't.
And he's probably, retired or at retiring age. Not that we don't retire when we can do what we do, but I think possibly he's, maybe an independent or sold it on. They've changed the name.
Yeah.
But it's still registered at Company's House and still seems quite active. So
It's incredible.
So that's David Clark. We've got stickers from the NGO, which is the National Graphical Association, which was the union.
Yeah.
So this is by the book, 1970s.
Yeah.
Cross
the T's, dot the I's.
Yeah. So they're using the official, legit artwork labels, which I think is lovely.
Yeah.
As well. So the auction lot mentions Hunt and Broadhurst.
Right.
And said that this has been kept with somebody from the family. So the printers that we've got listed on some of these, which is Scott Colour, who are in Bermondsey. And I've checked that out on Street View. That seems to be a nice little park now, with some fancy apartments. So I don't think they're around anymore. But I wonder whether the chronology is this, is that they were maybe part of the Hunt and Broadhurst group, who I think were Oxford-based, and were perhaps bought out and this arrived from there, or maybe they were part of a group to start with. And then obviously Mr. Bilecki, who was a publicist at 20th Century Fox, worked on Alien. I think he was involved in photography. He was a concept photographer or just dealt with publicity stills, but he was roped into 20th Century Fox to do marketing and work on things like this. So it's great to just have that confirmed. Just to some of the people who touch this, I think it's really it's really special.
In all, it's what I would describe as a once-in-a-lifetime find, and then not only to have found it, but then to be able to purchase it at the price that we did, and to be able to put it in our collections. We've decided to split the pieces up between us, and to be able to own them and have a tangible piece of original artwork that connects us with our Star Wars collecting journey, without sounding too corny. It's just incredible. Easily the best find I've ever had. I mean, you can come across collections of toys and things, and find things at toy fairs or car boot sales or charity shops and all the rest of it. But this is different. This is, there's only one of these pieces of artwork that is responsible for producing something that you remember vividly as a child. Very special.
and I have to say this on record, because you could have not told me. You could have just kept it to yourself.
I could have done. But straight away, without even thinking about it, I've got to tell Craig. Craig will be the only other person I know of that will be as excited about this than I am.
Well, I'm indebted to you, mate.
Oh,
I
well.
totally am. Now we need to divvy them up.
Yeah, we need to divvy them up. I'm having that one.
Yeah. I mean, I can make a case for every single one and go, I like that because of this.
Yeah.
I like that because of that unique feature. I like that because of that personal connection. So I think whatever we walk away with
is it's going to be,
and it's staying in the family.
It's staying in the family.
So, I hope you've enjoyed that special show.
Do you know what, mate? As podcasts and blogs go, that I really thoroughly enjoyed that. It felt like it flowed nicely.
I wish they could all be this way. Hopefully it's all going to come out okay. If you've enjoyed this, check out our other stuff. Generation Skywalker. www.generationskywalker.com, which is where everything sits. But we've got a YouTube channel where we've got videos of unboxings and little snippets of shows we've done, full enhanced shows where you can sit and immerse yourself for 2+ hours in the working world of vintage Star Wars. Check us out on social media. We're on all the channels. We'll be sharing some of this stuff. And I hope the world sees it like we do, because it's special. It is special stuff, and we just want to move it. So, thanks for watching. I'm Craig. He's Mark. We are Generation Skywalker.
Right, I'm gonna have to shoot, mate. I wish I could spend all day with you. I'm sure you probably don't, but I could
it's such a time, my friend.
Sit
thank you so much for just including me on it. You know?
No, I'm so glad that we were able to get it.